maybe the playoffs, the quarterfinals and stuff. I would like to see Rusty getting another wee extended run. See if we can grab the conference over the next few games. And we'd really have to have a collapse, Raymond, not to get the conference. Is there really... I'd like to see Rusty getting a wee extended run again, because I'd like to see that with a view to maybe considering taking a chance on him next year, or do you think that's too out of left field?
I don't see any reason why not. The only thing you just have to factor in is sharpness for Zajkowski, and
that's the one drawback to doing that, isn't it?
And you need to consider the consequences of that, and not only that, do you take away confidence for Zajkowski for sitting him out for so long, or it's a really big decision. So I think Finner's doing the right thing just now, sort of taking it game by game and seeing how they perform and kind of reacting to that as things unfold. So I think that's probably the best way to play it just now. But I've said previously plenty of times, I have no issue whatsoever with Gary Russell being the starting netminder for this club. No issue whatsoever. But it's the thing with him being, younger, a little less experienced against the kind of calibre of imports in this league, he's going to have his wee drop-offs when he's going to concede a few more goals and all the rest of it. And, well, would our fans be patient enough with him to kind of see him ride that through? That would be my only thing against him being the number one. But I personally, no problem whatsoever with him being number one.
We are going to need absolutely tip-top goaltending next year, mounting a title challenge, and we don't have to go through it all again, but, we must be here to do more than win the Gardner. So we're not going to do that unless we have very, very high calibre goaltending, as some other teams who maybe don't even have our budget seem to be able to pick up from, on a fairly regular basis. We have to try and be able to do the same for next season.
Yep.
Just a wee interesting caveat there. Just when you were saying the stats between Z, if you actually look at Kyle Jones's stats, they're actually only marginally better than how Zajkowski is now. And I've said the point elsewhere. There wasn't many folk happy that Kyle Jones came back for the second year. But
I've got Kyle Jones as 2.65 goals against.
Which overall, yes, but I mean in his first full season. Yeah.
Right, you've made me scramble about my spreadsheets now.
Well, anyway, yeah. He was 2.9 goals against average and 8.99 save percentage in 46 league games. So
yeah, because I've got him 2.82 and 0.902, but that's including the Challenge Cup.
Yeah.
So it's roughly the same though, but it's still. You're right. It's not that. It's not that.
So you
much.
think about it, we changed a couple of D-men the next year, and then I think Kyle Jones settled and kicked on. I'm not saying it's going to be exactly the same with Zajkowski. I'm just putting it out there. It's possible.
But then you look at Travis Fullerton, and okay, it was only 15 games. He had a 2.61 goals against and a 0.919, and you think, why didn't we keep him? Because the only person that beats Fullerton for the Clan, but for a goalie that played more than 10 games, is Chris Holt, who only beats him by 0.03 at 2.58 goals against average.
But remember what happened. I remember us talking about it at the time. The problem with Fullerton, and he's a good goalie, and he's proven himself to be a good goalie at Caps this season, considering the amount of rubber that he faces, especially. But I remember us talking about it. The more we saw Fullerton, the more we realised he wasn't quite as good as we wanted him to be. He started extremely well, but of course he didn't get that much of a run with us. But the more we saw of him, he just, the stats started to slip, and he did make some mistakes and let in some fairly soft goals, as goalies do on occasions. But he wasn't quite. There wasn't quite the upset, let's say. Put it this way, there was no debate that Holt should have been the number one, and indeed was the number one, and he was a pick for them into the season when he was back. I don't think there was too much debate about all of that. So, it's like I said, I just think in terms of overall stats, I wasn't the biggest Jonesy fan. I think it was a good goalie, really good goalie. But I still thought, we were capable of getting better, and I think again that we're capable of getting better. But I think we have to get better for next season.
The one thing as well you could say in Z's defence is defence. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I was about
Jones
to say,
and Holt had better defence in front of them. They really
but
did.
you've got McKeever in front of you. That's a whole different world to have in what we have currently in front of us.
And look at Fullerton's stats with Edinburgh.
Yeah, exactly.
And you've got to say though, and somebody posed the question on Twitter, what's the difference between Fullerton and Z?
Not a lot, to be honest.
Yeah, there's not a lot.
I think they're both not great in the puck. They're both good shot stoppers, but it tends to result in a lot of rebounds. And when it's like Stephen Murphy as well. You need your defence kitted out to deal with that. And at times it looks like we're not prepared for it. And I think that's crazy considering how long he's been here. And you thought we'd learn our lessons by now, but obviously we haven't. But that's how it goes.
Yeah. So bottom line is, you two would stick with Gary for Friday night, whereas I would go with Z. Is that right?
Yeah, sounds like it.
Well, there we go. Nobody's sitting on the fence.
This is Stephen Meyer, and you're listening to the Purple Army Podcast.
Okay, we're going to do this week's penalty box. We haven't had one for a couple of weeks, I don't remember. Graham, we'll come to you first. What have you got? Something you want to put in the penalty box?
Oh dear, what to pick from? Well, the one thing I'm going to mention is, and I tweeted about it at the time, was last night. There's various things about officials that can be annoying at times. You can have refs that have bad games, and we saw a bit of that last night. And linesmen don't normally get on my radar too much for various reasons. Usually you like to think it's because they're doing their job reasonably well. But there's one thing that really, really grinds my gears. Not wishing it to sound like Family Guy too much, but it's the face-off in the circle when the linesman insists on holding the puck for about 10 seconds longer than is necessary. It is absolutely infuriating. And if you're sitting there in the seats and you're infuriated by it, how can the players be feeling about it? Because I tweeted about it. It was like a mannequin challenge. It's just, you're just sitting there, they're standing there waiting for the puck to drop, and it just seems to go on in age, and you can't see any reason for them delaying it. So whether they're going for some element of surprise or whatever, I'm not sure if there are any rules about the time duration that kind of thing should take. I remember one of the NHL podcasts, I remember listening to them talking about it, because it happens quite a bit in the NHL, even to the extent where you get linesmen who pretend to drop the puck and then don't. And that's been gaining quite a bit of attention. We didn't have any of that, but just this interminable wait for the puck to drop for me is just beyond the score. And it was one linesman in particular who was doing it last night, and it happened, I don't know, maybe half a dozen times, and it was just annoying. And I think most of the rest of the crowd were picking up on it as well. I heard a few cries of drop the puck on occasions, and it was just infuriating, and I don't know why that happens.
Yeah, last night seemed to be more pronounced than it has been in the past. I'm sure it was Jeff Ulmer. He wrote a blog, and it talked about the amount of time that it takes for the referees or the linesman to drop the puck over here, and how the centres could anticipate what they were doing. But how could they could anticipate last night is go away and have a cigarette and come back and the puck might still not be dropped, It was really getting ridiculous last night, and it seemed to be holding the game up. So yeah, it's certainly one to consider for me, Raymond.
Yeah, well, like you, I noticed it a bit more than usual. It's tend to happen for the past couple of years, I've noticed, and I don't know if it's linesmen and refs getting fussy about player positioning, or maybe one guy's going for the puck when he shouldn't, but I didn't see an awful lot wrong for what they were holding things up for, so I have no idea why, but yeah, even the crowd was getting frustrated, and that makes it a big problem.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely something I think they need to look at for next year. As far as referees goes, Hogarth had a terrible game last night. The one thing in particular I remember was when Carlson got boarded, and then he punched the guy, I can't remember who it was that done the boarding, punched Carlson and then Carlson got a roughing call at it. You just go, how does that work? Do you know what I mean? It's as if he's scared to make a decision, so he just trades it off against each other.
Yeah, I think if you do anything, you give the Blaze guy 2+2 and then Carlson 2 if you absolutely must. But somebody made the point on Facebook, I forget who it was, but I agreed with him. He seemed like a boy unsure what parent to please, so he ended up trying to just try to please both of them, and he ended up just annoying everybody in the end. It was, I thought, very exceptionally poor performance from him. I mean, just bad game management and the whole thing with the blatant offside and all the rest of it. I mean, that was just terrible. That doesn't belong in a league that tries to profess itself as professional. It just doesn't belong there, and it made the thing a farce. And of course, as these things go, the Blaze scored on the resulting power play, but fortunately it didn't do damage to the result in the end. But no, you don't want to see that happening, and he would be my suggestion for the penalty box at this point so far.
Stefan? Please just keep Stefan down south. We'll take Pavel any day of the week after that performance.
Yeah, like I say, I don't know. I mean, we always try to be a little bit canny when it comes to the refs.
They've got a hard job, we all admit that.
Of course they do, and we always recognise that. And, you know, there should be a four-man system there in the first place, yada, yada, yada. But for me, that was probably one of the worst referee performances I've seen all season last night.
And we're not moaning because we lost. We're moaning because...
No, exactly, because it was rubbish.
Do you know, and I hope he's not listening, because sometimes I think he does. I actually am quite relieved when I look at it and I see that it's Toby that's reffing these days. I think, thank God it's Toby. Do you know what I mean? Because he generally tends to get things right. You saw the way he dealt with the abusive official the other night, you know? So I don't know. Anyway, okay, Stefan's going to get a nomination. And
officials overall, because
the linesman for puck drops.
I'm sorry, the puck dropping thing has got to be put in, yeah.
Talking about moaning fans, right, I'm going to get ripped into Cardiff, because that's my nomination. Cardiff fans, we all know Walser meant what he did at the anthem, right? But how come Bordelot gets a free pass for skating away early? Do you know what I mean? It's on there in the video. Bordelot skated away before the anthem had finished, but nobody mentions him. Then we've got the Hotham thing where he gets banned for breaking somebody's wrist with a slash, a Nottingham player with a slash. The poor guy never done anything wrong, and then Bordelot gets done for another hit to the head. And I just wish Cardiff fans don't seem to be able to get this through their head. There is no such thing as a legal hit to the head. It doesn't matter what height he is. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter what height the other player is. There is no such thing as a legal hit to the head. Okay, get that through your head. Bordelot get banned again. It's the second time he's had a hit to the head. But what was the score there, Raymond? There was no mention of repeat offender. But if it's Corey Cowick, he's a repeat offender all the time, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I think if there's the one thing about Dops that pretty much everybody's united on, and what they don't like about it is the lack of consistency. And again, we're given this, is he a repeat offender or not? And then if so, what does that exactly mean?
Well, he should have got another game, shouldn't he? If he's
exactly. That was my understanding of it. If you were a repeat offender and this was your second offence, it's an extra game, and then it's 2 games if you do it again on top of the initial ban. So there's just no. Well, there's no clarity either, because there's not enough information on the website. Well, there's not even a full EIHL rulebook as well. So it's
Seth's still writing it. Stephen, that's 3 years ago.
This is turning the greatest hits. This is.
Yeah, Seth actually answered that before he left. He said there wasn't much interest in that.
No, so too much hard work.
So, but anyway,
here's a TV deal for you.
Yeah,
shut up and be happy.
But anyway, yeah, my main pet peeve about Dops, a lack of consistency. We've just seen it again, and just to reiterate what Ross has said, it actually says this in the rules. There is no such thing as a clean hit to the head. And it says that explicitly in the IIHF rules.
Yeah. And you can't get away from that. But the whole point about Cardiff fans is, has any referee ever given a penalty to a Cardiff player that he did deserve? Because it seems to be they are just innocent. I don't ever remember, and I know I'm generalising, but I can't really remember any Cardiff fans saying, yep, he did deserve that. Do you know what I mean? There's never. And then one of them started moaning on Twitter about, everybody's only getting into Cardiff because we're Cardiff and everybody's only here for Cardiff. they're the worst for getting involved in everybody else's shit, really, aren't they? I don't know. I just think, stop the bleeding heart, we're innocent. Cardiff, take your punishment when it comes. It's just... Because I like Cardiff Devils, I like